Welcome to Vidyut Vizards. Hey, if you're getting value out of these explainers, do us a huge favor and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It really helps us out. All right, let's jump in. Today, we are diving headfirst into a massive legal and financial drama that absolutely rocked India's power sector. We're talking about a true showdown between the country's biggest power exchange, IEX, and the top regulator, CERC. And it all started with one very controversial idea. And that idea is something called market coupling. Now, what is that? Well, instead of each power exchange setting its own price, the idea was to have a central operator just pull all the bids from every exchange together. The whole point? To find one single, uniform price for electricity across the whole market. Sounds pretty efficient, right? So if it sounds so simple, how on earth did this one proposal explode into a full-blown legal war? And even more incredibly, how did it end up uncovering a major insider trading scandal that reached inside the regulatory body itself? Okay, to really get what happened, we've got to look at what both sides were actually arguing in court, because this really boils down to two completely different ways of looking at the exact same thing. So on one hand, you have IEX. They're the dominant player, right? And they basically argued that the regulator's order was totally arbitrary and just plain unfair. They said, look, this is just a thinly veiled attempt to steal our market share and hand it to our competitors. And for what? They claim the economic benefits were, and I'm quoting here, minuscule. But on the other side, the regulator, CERC, came back and said, whoa, hold on, you're jumping the gun. They insisted this wasn't some final legally binding order. No. This was just step one in a long, consultative process to create brand new regulations. Now, just as this legal fight was getting really intense, the whole story took a wild, unexpected turn. The stock market regulator, SEBI, stepped in and dropped an absolute bombshell of an investigation that pretty much changed everything. And this right here, this quote from SEBI's initial order, gets right to the heart of the scandal. They found that the CERC order on market coupling was what's called unpublished price-sensitive information, or UPSI. Basically, it was confidential info that could seriously move a stock price, and SEBI believed certain people knew about it weeks before anyone else. So here's the breakdown. SEBI alleged that officials right inside the regulator's own economics division knew about this decision early. This super-sensitive info was then allegedly passed to outsiders. And what did they do? They traded on it, making over 173 crore rupees in illegal profits. And the proof that this info was a big deal? The second the order was made public, IEX's stock tanked by almost 30%. That's your smoking gun right there. So, with this massive scandal just brewing in the background, the original legal case between IEX and CERC still had to be decided by the Appellate Tribunal, also known as APTEL. So, after all the back and forth about market share, about the proper process, and now with this huge cloud of insider trading hanging over everything, who did the tribunal actually side with? And the verdict was, well, neither of them. In a very technical ruling, the appeal was simply disposed of. So it wasn't a win for IEX, but it sure wasn't a clear victory for the regulator either. And the reason why is the really critical part. The tribunal essentially said that CERC was right on one key point. Since the market coupling order wasn't a final binding rule, just a step towards making one, IEX couldn't legally be considered an aggrieved party, at least not yet. To put it simply, their lawsuit was too early. The real battle would have to wait until actual formal regulations were on the table. But, and this is a huge but, the tribunal did not stop there. While they got rid of the appeal on a technicality, they sent a very powerful, very direct message to the regulator because of that SEBI investigation. And this is the jaw-dropper at the end of it all. The tribunal explicitly ordered CERC to bench the officials named in the CB insider trading probe. They are not to be involved in any more work on market coupling until that investigation is over. I mean, think about that. This was a direct command to clean house, a clear signal that the very process of making these rules was now considered tainted. So yeah, the legal case is closed for now, but it leaves us all with a much, much bigger question. The regulator might have won on a procedural point, but the tribunal's final warning casts a very long shadow. When the integrity of the regulatory process itself is called into question, how can anyone, market participants, investors, the public, really maintain faith in the system? Thanks for watching.